Hello.
Good evening. How you doing?
I'm good. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad at all. Looking forward to this one.
Oh, it feels like
This
deja vu.
show. Yeah, hopefully it won't be deja vu. Hopefully we'll pass what happened last time. But
Touch wood.
you, yeah, you had a good weekend.
Yeah. It's been a very busy weekend, very stressful. Um, got a lot of thinking to do about work. So yeah, maybe a change in jobs coming up. I'm not sure. But
It's always a
yourself? What
good.
about you?
A change is always good. I was just going to say,
It is. It
so
is.
don't be afraid of change. But yeah, this weekend, no, we met up with the PTTP family. We went out, and that was good to catch up with everyone after the holiday that we had. And then just getting kids ready to go back to school now. Getting all the uniforms in. Getting back to reality. Really, the
Yeah.
holidays are nearly over. So, but no,
Scary.
but yeah, but we got a good show lined up tonight.
Yes.
So
Let's just bring Heather straight up. We don't really need to give her any introduction because everyone met her a few weeks ago before some clown got on and deleted everything. So
took all that, but yeah.
we'll bring Heather straight up. We'll get straight into the chat. If anyone does have any questions for Heather, then please feel free to fire them in the comments. And yeah, let's do
Or,
this.
or just say hello if you want to just say hello. It's always good to see who's in the room. But yeah,
Absolutely.
let's bring Heather up and let's get on and let's do this. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hi,
How
guys.
you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Yeah, we're
Thank you.
good.
Welcome back.
Yes, thank you. Glad I'm
Part
here.
two.
Glad I made it.
Yeah. So no, it's great to have you back on. Hopefully there won't be any hiccups like last time.
No.
Yeah.
So it should it should be good fun.
Yeah, pretty
So
great.
we've got a few people in the room already. So we
Okay.
have Birmingham, Alabama. Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
Our lovely friend who came on our show last week, Wild Bill.
Well, there.
Good evening,
How you
brother.
doing?
We have Sven is in the room.
Yeah.
Sean is in the room.
One of our PTTP members in the room.
Yep.
Mhm.
And then Wild Bill says, hello, Heather.
Oh, hey. Hi, Wild Bill.
So
How
yeah.
you doing? Just saw him a couple weeks ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's brilliant, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a great guy. Great guy.
Yeah.
Funny. Yeah. So, but heading back to you, Heather. We had you on a few weeks ago. We had a bit of a bit of kerfuffle with the live, but just to go back, we were just getting into the conversation about gravestones and how you acquired the property. So maybe if we can start from there about how you got into this property and how it all come about.
Sure. I know. Not sure where we left off, but I'll just sort of recap real quick.
Yeah.
We were looking for just a place to live in the country. I was living in the suburbs of Buffalo, which is a bigger city, and I own my own house. But my husband and I just got married, and he was from the country. He wanted something bigger, something with some space. I really like the older houses, so I was looking for something Victorian, something with some character to it. And we had looked for a long time, but gave up because we couldn't really find anything. But then this house kept popping up on my phone, on like my phone watching apps and all that. It kept like popping up, and I had to keep deleting it because at that point we were done. We were going to wait a while. So finally, I decided, let's just go look at this place. It won't come off my phone. It keeps popping up. And my real estate agent at the time said, hey, I've got a couple other ones to look at. Why don't we just do them all in one day? We'll take a look, see what you think. And we came in. This place, as soon as we walked in, we were told it was sold. Someone else had an offer on it. So we turned around and left. I really didn't get a chance to look at the house at all. My husband had gone into the basement, so he knew it was dry down there. And then that was it. But I had no idea what the house looked like, other than it was like a nice shape. I could tell from the kitchen and from peeking into the like main parlor. So went to look at the other two houses, didn't like those. They had a lot of damage. So we ended up just going home. Really didn't like any of the houses. And my husband said, hey, let's put a bid on that house. The first one, he goes, I know you like that one a lot. And I'm like, well, it was good, but I didn't get a chance to read it. Because as a psychic, I go into places and I will pick up the vibe of the place. I'll check faucets and everything too, but I'm basically looking to see if I pick up anything. And I swear we were kept out of there on purpose because he put a bid on it. He was hoping that the original people bid low, and he put a little bit higher bid on there, and they accepted it. And we did not expect that. We were just totally goofing around. So we got a call the next day saying we bought a house. We were like, oh, okay. So then I called and they said, hey, we need to go back through that house because I didn't get a chance. We really didn't look at it. We didn't go upstairs at all. And she goes, you can't, you're under contract. It was a bank foreclosure. So no one was living here. The house was empty for about 4.5 years before we moved in. So we came over a couple weeks later because we couldn't get back in. And we were just looking around the outside of the house. And that's the first time we noticed something weird was going on. Because at that point, we were ready to move in. This is only a few weeks till we were going to move into here. And my husband had taken a bunch of pictures of the outside of the house, just so we had an idea when we got home so we could look at it. And we were peeking in the windows and we were looking in the back door of the house. And he had his hands up like this. I was in the front yard. He was looking in the back windows like this with his hands over his eyes. And he said he saw a woman's legs to his right. He saw someone come up to him and stand there. He thought it was his daughter. We had his daughter with us looking at the house. And but she was up front with his granddaughter. So they were playing out front. He thought it was her, turned to talk to her, put his hands down, and there was nobody there. So he was all freaked out because he said he felt someone come right up to his side. And he's not into paranormal at all. He's a total skeptic. He's ex-military. He's in the Army for years. And he's even though he knows what I do, he's been on investigations with me before to other places. And he can't explain it. He'll always try and debunk, though. He'll always try and be like, oh, that happened because of this. Or this is going on. And that night when we went to look at the pictures he had taken, there were a few that he's like, okay, this looks like there's a woman in this window. Like you could see the curtains were pulled back and there's a face peeking out in one of the pictures. So he was the first one to really notice something. And at that point, it was too late. We'd already bought the house and we're like, nope, it's fine. It's good. Because I wasn't getting to anything too crazy because we weren't in the house yet until we moved in. And then the day we moved in, it was chaos. You know how that is, moving day. And I had everybody in here. All my nieces and nephews were in. And it was just crazy amount of people. We had gotten pizzas and it was nuts. So people running around. Everybody's bringing all this stuff in the house. And then we were so exhausted, crashed, fell asleep. But the next morning is when we started hearing things. So we woke up in the morning, found the coffee maker and stuff. We're sitting in the main parlor. And then we started hearing what sounded like... it sounded like when you have an empty dresser and you open a dresser drawer and it makes that boom, boom, boom sound. Yeah. And it sounded like something dragging across the floor. And then we're both sitting. My husband goes, hey, did someone stay over? Like we thought maybe someone just ended up staying here, not leaving. We're looking for cars, no cars outside. Because we thought for sure there was just somebody upstairs walking around because we're hearing footsteps and things moving around. And we go up there, nothing up there. And we're like, oh, okay. And it was loud. It wasn't quiet. They weren't trying to be sneaky. And it was broad daylight. It was probably 11 in the morning. So that's when we knew something weird was going on.
Oh, wow. So is your husband still a skeptic now that you live there?
No, not really. It sort of cured him of that a little bit. They pick on him. You know how that is. Because he'll be like, this is nothing. Nothing's going on, blah, blah, blah. And this is when we first moved in because he was trying not to have me spooked either. So he was trying to be good about it. But they threw a big, a plaque at his head upstairs in the hallway. When he was walking through the hallway, there's an entrance into the servants' part of the house. There's a back part of the house where the servants used to live. And there's a big door that used to close in between and lock. So the house is sort of almost in two halves. And but he was cutting through to go get dressed. And he went to close the door behind him and it kept opening up on him. So he kept turning around to close it and it kept opening up. So he turned around one last time to close it. And as he reached forward to grab the doorknob, so he was probably 4 feet or so from the door, I had hung this little plaque above it with its fairy that said welcome on it. And it was like heavy resin. And he went to, but he wasn't anywhere near the door from him. He was at least 4 or 5 feet from it. And this plaque flew off of the nail and hit him right in the head. So and it was really heavy. So he's like, oh my God. He was all freaked out because he's like, first of all, they kept opening the door. He kept closing it and they kept opening it. So they were messing with him. Just that, but he's heard things in the house he can't explain. They mimic our voices here. Lots of audibles here, not just EVPs. Like you hear straight up talking. We hear arguing. You hear people in the basement arguing. you hear people at the bottom of the stairs. It sounds like a man, two men fighting, and it sounds like a man and a woman. And so when I was painting one of the front rooms here of the house, when we first moved in, we had to paint. I was in what we call the bedroom. So we had to paint the walls this burgundy color. And it takes like 3 coats of paint to paint that color because it's a really deep color. And I was on the ladder. He was in the very back of the house. Like I said, it's a long house with like a lot of rooms off of it. We call it the Scooby-Doo hallway because it's got all these doors. We're in Scooby-Doo with all the doors, people running in and out. He was way at the other end. So he was in his area. He was watching TV. I was painting the room and I kept hearing him call my name. And every time I get up on the ladder, I'd hear, Heather, like loud from the hallway. And I'm like, what? And I had music playing, but I could hear him yell my name. And I'm like, what? And I would turn around, wouldn't see anybody. Did it like 3 times. Finally, I get off the ladder, put all my brushes down, and I'm like, what? I go out there, nobody there. So I walk all the way down the hallway. I'm like, what? Why are you calling me? He's like, I'm not. He's just laying there. He's just there watching TV. But it was creepy because it was loud and it was daytime. And then they did that to him with me. A couple times. I was working further away. As a Niagara Falls, probably about a 45-minute drive from the house. But I worked with my sisters sometimes. We worked at the casino. We used to do all the concerts and stuff there. So we would work these big events, but we'd be gone all night and like into the evening. So this is probably about dinner time or so. And all of a sudden he's hearing me calling his name in the house. And he's thinking maybe my sister dropped me off or something was wrong, or for some reason I was home. We didn't know why. I was like, the car died and I got dropped off or something. He's walking around yelling my name, like, where are you? Where are you? And it was coming out of the basement, and it was coming out of the upstairs, and it's coming out of the rooms. And so I'm at work and I get this hilarious text. It's like, where the hell are you? And I'm like, I'm at work. He's like, no, seriously, where are you? I'm like, I'm at work. I'm in Niagara Falls. And he goes, no, he's freaking out. Cause he's like, I've been following around the house for half an hour. He's like, this is freaking me out. He's like, it's clear. It's my name. It's your voice. So he was all freaked out. But so stuff like that, they definitely messed with him quite a bit.
So now he's a believer.
Yeah.
But prior to this, so you've had your abilities prior to Greystones then. For you personally, when did it come into light that you were able to, a psychic medium, is that right? Is that, when at what point or what stage in your life did you realize that you had these abilities, and how did that start for you?
I mean, in my whole life, I've been sensitive to things and places. Could always feel when you go into certain areas, I would know something was going on in there. Always sensitive to things. It runs in the family. My grandmother used to read tea leaves, and there's 7 girls in the family, so there's 7 sisters and 1 brother. So we all have a touch of this stuff. We were all like just tied into each other. Always sensitive to things, but for me, it really kicked off. It started. For me, when it really started going crazy, when I started really paying attention, was when I was about 21 years old. I drowned. So I had an accident and near-death experience in California. So we were at a surf beach at Huntington Beach. I was with friends, and we were boogie boarding in. So I had a boogie board attached to my wrist, which is like just a little surfboard thing. And I grew up with a swimming pool, diving board, deep end. Like, I'm a good swimmer. So I was used to water, no problem. And we lived on the lakes. So I was used to being in the lake, but I wasn't used to surf waves, which are very big, apparently way bigger than like a lake wave. But anyway, I had been boogie boarding in on these waves, coming in on the shore, dragging it behind me. And this wave came out of nowhere. I didn't even see it. It just popped up out of nowhere and hit me from behind, took me in the wave curl and dragged me into the wave, like almost being in a washing machine. And I didn't get a chance to catch my breath, and I was trying to find the sand, like the ground, and trying to kick up to the surface. And but it was so deep, it pulled me way into the deep end, deep of the ocean there. So I'm trying to reach the surface. I'm trying to break the surface, trying to get out, and I'm struggling. And it felt like I was in there a long time. Plus, this stupid surfboard, I think, was messing me up because it kept pulling me into the water. And then next thing I know, I'm watching myself in the water. I could see myself as all white around me, and I could see myself struggling. And I remember thinking, oh, that's not good. Like, I shouldn't be able to see myself. Like, why am I watching myself? Like, that's bad. And that's the last thing I remember. And then all of a sudden, I'm standing on the shoreline, and I'm toe to toe with a guy wearing all black. And no water in my lungs. I still have the boogie board attached to me, and I'm standing toe to toe with this person. And the weird thing is, I looked down and he had shoes on, not it wasn't a wetsuit, and they were like dress pants. They look like pants, like slacks,
Yeah.
not a wetsuit, not flippers or anything, or bare feet. Definitely had shoes on. And I remember thinking that was weird. And he was taller than me, way taller than me, because I was looking at his shoulders. Like, I'm sort of tall, I'm 5'8", but I was looking at his like chest, sort of. But he was wearing all black. But anyway, and he wasn't holding me up. He was just standing in front of me, toe to toe with me. And I remember thinking, I was so confused. And I'm like, I remember saying, I think my friends are worried about me. I don't think they know what happened to me, or something like that. I remember like saying to him, I better go to them because they're probably worried. No one else is in the water with me. The 3 friends I was with were on the shore. They were just sitting on a blanket, goofing around. They didn't see anything happen to me. So I remember like saying to him, I better go to my friends. And I ran over to where they were, because now I'm like freaking out, like what happened. And I was telling him, there's this guy, I think he pulled me out of the water. Did you guys see any of that? And the other weird thing is, when I was talking to him, telling him I had to go to my friends, it was August. It was California. It was Huntington Beach, surf beach. And there were a million people on the beach, tons of people, all in blankets. No one was looking at me. I remember no one saying, are you okay? What happened? Nothing. No one was like, even like, they weren't even looking at me. So I went over to my friends and I'm like, hey, did you see that? And they were like, what? This guy. And I was describing, I'm like, he's wearing black. And I turned around, we looked, and this is a big, big, deep beach. It has like rollerblading and stuff at the top. And it's a very big, deep beach. People have like campfires and stuff on the beach and in the water. And we were scanning the beach. Nobody dressed like that. And then I'm thinking maybe it's somebody in a wetsuit, like it was a surfer. Looking, nobody even close to that. No, I have no idea. I think it was angelic. I think it was something weird. I think I was pulled out of the water, for sure, because I didn't crawl out. I was like dumped out onto the sand, which you would think would happen. But then after that, it was like pouring gasoline on a fire, because like the whole trip home was weird. But I remember after I could see things around people, I was seeing colors and stars around people. I was hearing things around people. I started seeing like shadows and people, and then hearing voices, and I was hearing all kinds of stuff and knowing things about people I shouldn't know. People would ask me questions and I would be like, oh yeah, that's happening because of this. Like I would just know all of a sudden and for no reason. It was super, super weird. So that went on for a few years, and then I was trying to block it out because it was super creepy. It got to the point where it was just weird. Like I would go through crowds of people and I was seeing people and hearing things and feeling things I shouldn't, and knowing things about people. It was the oddest thing. But then when my daughter was born, about 5 years later, that I was being told at the time I was pregnant that it was a girl. This figure came to me like in this weird dream state, but was telling me all this stuff about her, which ended up being true, but all this strange stuff. And I was seeing the same colors I saw when I was in the water, which is like a white, almost like milky, but pinks and blues and magenta colors. Really strange. They don't really exist. I can't tell. It looked like feathers or milk. But that's what I saw when I was in the water. And then I was seeing this again, and they were telling me all about how they're sending this girl to me, this daughter. Then when she was about 2 years old, she told me all about her past life experiences and how she died and how she came to me and how she died in a car accident. And she was telling me all this stuff about past life stuff and reincarnation. And she was only 2. And then the more I focused on it, then I started like sort of not researching it, but took more of an interest to it. Taking it more seriously, you know what I mean, with her. And then I came around to doing readings and stuff a few years later, because other people would ask me all the time, hey, what do you think of this? And, just because I would get such strange visions and messages around people. And I had been taking notes forever and auto writing for years and years and years about all kinds of stuff. I would ask my guides, I would let them write through me, and they would write things out and it would come true. And it'd be, this is crazy. So I was telling friends and stuff about this, and it slowly began that way. They would call me up with advice and ask me questions, and I'd be like, all right, let me ask. And I would ask my guides, and they would write it out. And I'd say, well, this is what they wrote for me for you. And then it would happen. Even like illnesses, a lot of medical empath stuff too. I pick up sicknesses on people, like have diagnosed, not that I'm a doctor or anything, but they'll be like, hey, what do you think's going on here? And I'll be like, I don't know. They're saying kidney, like I'll just be pinpointed to certain areas. Super strange. Wow. So, yeah.
So Bill said that he drowned one time, was said to be dead. Bystander brought him back, and he remembers all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
in Birmingham, Alabama, said the same thing almost happened to them.
Yes,
Like
it's
No.
yeah, no pain. I see the comment. Yeah, no pain, no nothing. In fact, it's like comforting. It's a bright white that you see too, and it's not blinding. It's really it's super super weird. But they say that what happens when you do have these near-death experiences, though, you've changed your energy source. So basically, you've crossed over into the upper realm, and they're like, "Hey,
Yeah.
not time to come over yet," so they're sending you back down. Like your spirit moves in a clockwise motion when it's sent down to earth, earthwise, clockwise. When you die, your spirit starts to go counterclockwise. That's why ghosts and stuff, when they see you, they can tell you're either psychic or you can hear them, or you're ascending up and they try and hitch a ride. That's why sometimes people will get attacked by ghosts, because they feel like you can help them up to cross over into the light and all that. So you're moving counterclockwise when you start to cross. And like my guides are explaining to me, but when you have these near-death experiences, you did start that motion. You started going up and they sent you down. So now it's not quite right. It's almost like a rubber band that's lost its stretchiness. Now you're now connected to this upper realm closer than you would have been before. So now you have this weird, like 1 foot in each side. One foot sort of in the spirit realm, 1 foot on earth realm. So that's why people who have had near death are usually very strangely sensitive. They'll pick up stuff. They become introverts sometimes. They'll have a lot of issues. Questioning why was I brought back?
Yes, I can vouch for that. So yeah.
You said earlier on, from that near-death experience, it sort of heightened everything. You know, it just went like a bit like cuckoos for you with everything that started happening. But how did you manage that transition? Like, how did you cope? Your coping mechanisms, the coping strategy that you went through to deal with all this. What did you have to do, and how did you figure it all out and put it into a place where you can deal with it all?
Yeah, because I don't come from a deeply religious background, and I don't come from a spiritual background. Nothing like that. More, I'm spiritual, but that wasn't like the world I came from, and it wasn't the world of psychics or anything like that. That's not what I come from at all. I just knew that I started getting all of this strange, I don't know, messages. I knew something was going on. And even doing paranormal investigating was weird because it was opening that door. It was actually validating for me quite a bit, because I would say, they bring me in for cases and say, "Hey, what do you pick up in this house?" Or "What do you feel?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I get drawn to this room." And I would point to a corner. I said, "I'm seeing a person in that corner." They put meters over there, and then you get things lighting up. So it was like I was getting a lot of, do you know what I mean? Like I was being drawn to certain areas, interacting with who I said was in there, and then getting validation from actual ghost hunting equipment was really cool.
Yeah.
Then it was almost like, all right, so I know what I'm getting now when I go into certain places. But that was, 20 years ago or more. I think this is a long time ago, just slowly doing that. But then for me, for a coping mechanism, I really tried to block a lot of it out at first, especially after the accident, because it was so weird. It was just so strange, because it wasn't, and plus it wasn't a thing back in the day. Like when this accident happened to me, you're talking, oh my gosh, mid 90s. I wasn't, there's no ghost shows. There was no psychic people really on TV or anything like that, So I had no one to like compare to or even to talk to. It was very weird. So I tried to shut a lot of it out and ignore a lot of it. But then it kept popping up. And I think my daughter was the thing that really made things go crazy, because I found it fascinating, because then I started digging into past life experiences, because she was giving me her phone number, which is a TR3405, like the car she drove when she died. She gave me names, all kinds of stuff, where she used to live. And years later, we did research, and I didn't tell her. That whole thing was weird anyway, because she was telling everybody about it like it was present tense. So people would ask her about past life, and she'd be like, "Oh yeah, we used to eat this all the time, and this is my grandma Brina. My name was Brina," although it wasn't. But she'd describe how she died, all this stuff. And people would ask her, like her cousins, and people would ask her questions about it, and she'd just talk about like what it was like to live back then, as if it was present time. And then after about a year of that, and I was trying to get information, writing it down. When she'd give me anything, I could like fax, like telephone numbers. And then one time, I would give her a bath. She was little, she was 2. So I would give her a bath, and where she'd be quiet, and I could ask her questions, because she had my concentration, because I'm in the bathtub with her. Or, I was asking her questions in the bath. I'm like, hey, what was your grandmother's name? What was your this? What was that? And then the one time I was giving her a bath, I started asking her questions. She goes, I was told I'm not allowed to talk about that anymore. And
Oh,
I
wow.
said, what do you mean? She said, they said I'm not allowed to talk about it anymore. And I said, they? I'm like, who are they? And she's like, I'll get in trouble. They said I'm not supposed to be remembering this stuff and I'm not allowed to talk about it anymore. And she's 2. And she's like
Wow.
mad at me for asking questions now. And I'm like, who are these? And then I'm thinking, who are these? They? Who's they? What do you mean? So someone's controlling and talking to her, right? Yeah. And then I tried a couple times to ask her after that, and she would get mad. Every time I try and ask her, she's like, no, not allowed to talk about it. And it did she sort of lost that a little bit until she was about 16, and I was teaching her how to drive. I had taught her brother how to drive 2 years earlier. No problem. I'm a terrible driver, but I taught her how to drive, him how to drive. He got his license first try. It's pretty amazing. If you've ever been in a car with me, you don't want to drive with me. So he got his license, and I was teaching her how to drive. And she goes, and I knew she died in a car accident, right? Specifically, she wrapped herself around a tree. She described it to me, everything. So that's always in the back of my head, so I knew that. But anyway, so I take her to a church parking lot to practice. I'm like, hey, you need to get a feel for the car. I don't want you on the road. We lived in a suburb, so there's like lots of houses and kids on bikes and stuff. And I said, let's go to the church parking lot and get a feel for the car, drive it around. And she goes, okay. And we go, and she goes, no, I feel like I want to drive. She's like, I feel like I can drive already. I don't know why. I feel like I already know how to drive. I'm like, no. You can't just go on the road. Like, you have to get a feel for the car, like the brakes. And no, I think so she just heads out of the driveway and starts driving around the neighborhood like she's driven forever, like for her entire life. And I'm like, what the hell? And she's going, this is really weird. I feel like I've driven before, like a lot. Yeah. And then, then I told her about the whole past life thing, and she was totally blown away. She knew nothing about it because I didn't want to make her feel weird, when she was younger or anything. And she went and researched the phone numbers and all that. And she was born in Atlanta in this lifetime. And that phone number that she gave me was actually from Atlanta. So I think she did die there because she had a lot of memories of weird stuff that was Southern, which we had already moved back to New York at that point when she's telling me all this stuff. So lots of weird. Then I started thinking there's something really to this. Like, something goes on. You die and you don't just die. You go somewhere. It's like something happens, because she was doing a lot of weird past life stuff when she was 2, teaching my son how to gamble, how to pitch pennies. She was 2, he was 4, and they were sitting in the kitchen, and they had Monopoly money in their hands, and they had pennies, and they're throwing them against the wall. And I walked in the kitchen, and I'm like, what are you guys doing? She's like, oh, we're playing this game. And she's talked like a little mobster, little gangster. She had this really rough voice. She's like, we're playing a game. I'm like, what are you doing? She goes, you pitch the pennies. She's like, you don't win the pennies. You put money down, and then you bet. She's literally telling me how to pitch pennies, which I don't know how to pitch pennies. I think she's a little mobster back in the 30s. I have no idea. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's so weird. How do you explain that? Like, that was what made me really start to sort of focus on this stuff. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to start asking my guides, like, I know who I hear, like, what's going on with her? What do you think? And for me, that started.
Sounds amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Got something from Sean from Portal
to the Paranormal. Yeah. So do you want me to read it out? I can.
Yeah, you go for it.
I foresaw my wife's death in a walking dream for over a week before it happened. And since the car crash that killed her and injured me, I felt and heard spirits.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think the accident caused this, or would it have been something that he's always had the ability to do?
Okay. Killed her and injured me. I felt and heard spirits. Do you think the accident caused this, or would it always have been? No, you would have probably been sensitive to it. But then I know it sounds weird, but when you reincarnate onto Earth, you set out your life plan before you're even born. So you path in what you want to do for a living, if you want to get married, have kids, things, but you path your death in. So like people know when they're going to die. Like, you've actually pathed it in already. And a car accident probably was her way to go. She chose that was her death time. But maybe he was picking up on her path, like he would have known she was going to be going at that time. Because what they do is your spirit guides come and convene about 2 weeks before you die. So your family starts to gather around. people who are coming to escort you back to the spirit realm. That's why people in hospitals, because nowadays everybody dies by, being in a hospital. You know what I mean? You'll be bedridden or whatever. No one dies at home anymore. But people will say, older people dying, people in the hospice will say, oh, I just saw my relatives. They'll start describing people they know. They start showing up about 2 weeks before. So if he's having dreams about a week before, that makes sense, because the relatives would have started coming around. He would have maybe caught wind of something weird going on. They may have also been probably communicating with her, like, hey, because you don't remember your life path. You remember his life clean when you're born. Your spirit guide knows what you're doing, though. Your spirit guide knows when it's time to go. They call in angelic help. They'll call in beings to come in and help cross. So it could have been a combination of things. You know what I mean? Like she being with them, knowing the accident was going to be the two of them together. Maybe it sort of bled over into his consciousness too. You know what I mean? Together.
Cassie says her son can predict things as well.
It's how old is he? Is because if he's between little kids between ages of 3 and 6, they call that golden window. When little kids are between the ages of 3 and 6, pay attention to what they say, because they're going to say some spooky stuff. They will say bizarre things. They're sort of close to being sent down from the spirit realm. So they're still tuned into that spirit order. So they still remember things a little bit, and they're very open. So they're not questioning things. They may even see their own spirit guides, things like that. But they have this weird tie-in to their other life as well, or to the spirit order. So they still are pretty connected to the spirit realm, because they're so little. But at about 3, you become verbal, where you can talk, you can communicate what you're seeing. That's why little kids will start to describe things. And then when they get to be about 5 or 6 years old, they start going to school. Their life changes. They bring all this new stuff in. And then they get distracted and they start taking on their own life. Like this whole new life starts to take place for them, for this present tense life. But that's why they say, yeah, if they're little like that, pay attention, because they may say some crazy stuff. Like I would write it down, especially if they think they're remembering past life stuff,
Wow. And then Sean just put a comment on there relating back to what he's just said. I think we're both trying to get it up. Go on, I'll let you do it, Rob. It keeps coming off.
Why?
I'll read it anyway. He goes, I don't think she knew it was going to happen.
Right.
And he didn't tell her. So, but what you're referring to is not actually having that conversation, is what happened like before, like you're saying, when we're born, our life is sort of mapped out already, but we don't necessarily know that because we're coming in cleansed and, new to the world. So is that what you're referring to? We would have known this in a past life that it was going to happen, but not necessarily as we're living it. Is that right?
Right. What you do is so when you die, you go to the higher spirit order and you rest for about 100 years, up to 100 years, because life is hard. You're sort of, it's a struggle. Life is it's very difficult. It's a school, basically. So it's very hard on people. It's a tough thing to live a life on earth, but so you need healing. So after you're done, back to the higher spirit order, they do your life review, you sort of hash everything out, and then they cleanse you, and you go through and they show you like mistakes you made or good things you did, and they sort of go over everything that you dealt with in your lifetime. And then you rest, and then you're ready to come back down to earth, say 80 years later. And you ask one of the spirit guide. Well, what spirit guides are they're members of your spirit family who have already done all their reincarnations and have graduated. They're basically spirits that are from your spirit family so they're friends of yours. You would have known these spirits. They would have been probably in some past lifetimes with you, but then they've done all their lifetimes. They've graduated. They've gone to the higher spirit order. They no longer come to earth anymore. But what they can do now is become a spirit guide for you. So when it's time for you to come back down to earth, you can ask, someone will volunteer to be your spirit guide. They never leave your side. They're always with you. But what you do with the spirit guide is you hash out your whole life with them. So they know what you're doing. Like they know what your path is. They know what you're trying to do. They'll sit down and they basically will guide you then. So once you're sent down to earth, they now help you on earth. Like they'll help you reach your goals. They'll bring in healing care. So they bring people in. So you're always with this other being. But then your memory is like clean when you're born, though, because you're a baby. You don't remember anything that you're trying to achieve, but your guide knows what you're trying to do. People think they have free will on earth. which you sort of do to a point, but really you've already pathed out what you're trying to do, what your goals are. And then your guide, they'll let you go off your path a little bit, but then they always bring you back. Okay, let's start doing this now. That's why you notice certain things won't work out for you, but then you'll go back and do something different and it works great for you. So it's because that was the path you were supposed to be on.
Has to just put that her son did it a lot between the ages of 3 and 5. He's now 26 and doesn't remember it. It didn't make a big deal about it. Just connect to coincidences.
Right. Because that's what's weird about it. Because you think when kids are little, they're like, oh, it's imaginary friends, or they're just making stuff up, or but then like she said he was predicting things or seeing things, then it gets weird. Like, how did he know that? Why did he know? This person's gonna get sick soon, or that person's gonna get married, or they're having a baby, or Yeah.
Sean's asked another question. Oh, go on, you go, Rob. You can do it.
I feel my guide around me, but can't make contact. How can I build this connection?
You can ask your guide. They always stay on your right-hand side. That's where they are. If you do any kind of work with like pendulums or even with divining rods, because I like to use the natural, pendulums. Like I have a board, this thing right here. So it has like, oops, I'm going to light on there. Yes and no, hello, goodbye, right? So it has keywords on it, but it has letters. But you can do that on a piece of paper, write it out, use a pendulum, say and you can hold the pendulum over the letters and say, what's the first letter of your name? And maybe they can spell it out for you. They can point to the different letters and spell the person's name so you can communicate with them. That's probably the easiest thing if you ever use pendulums, because it's a nice way to sort of have them communicate. And then you can ask yes and no questions with them too. I started out using pendulums for me because it's like natural. It's my energy. If you've ever used any kind of tools like that, you'll know what I mean. It's weird when you watch people use them because you think they're doing like this and moving things, but they're weighted, so they don't move like that. Like they won't move. You have to hold it and then it'll move for you. Okay. But that's a good way to sort of connect to your spirit guides. You can also ask your spirit guides, even if you want to give them a name. Do you know what I'm saying? Like whatever you want to feel like calling them. Sometimes people feel like they know what their guide's name is. You can have them give you clues and hints. So you can say, say I'm gonna name my spirit guide Mike. Like okay. And then you say, Mike, if you're my spirit guide, or if it's okay, I call you that. Can you give me a hint or a clue? Is this okay? And say things like, leave a coin for me, or feathers, or something weird that I'll find. And they can sort of make these things. They don't make them appear out of nowhere, but they'll draw your attention to it. Do you know what I mean? And like, almost like a thumbs up, like, yes, you're on the right path or track. So pick an item, even if it's kind of bird, or if it's a leaf or something weird that you wouldn't normally see, even if it's like in your house or something strange, say, hey, is this the right, is it okay if I talk to you? So that's a couple different things I would do. Definitely go pendulums, divining rods are nice. Those, rods can yes and no questions with those as well.
Okay. Right. We've got a trailer about a special with me and Nando, and then we'll come straight back with a few more questions.
Okay.
That's right. All right. That was yeah. So that's our special show that we're hoping to do in the next few weeks, with the help from the Samaritans and a couple of charities. So
That'd be
we'll
cool.
Heather back on,
Yeah,
and
let's do it.
finish off where we started.
Yeah, cool.
Thank
Brilliant.
you, Heather.
So, that's lovely. What I was going to jump into next, you mentioned about your husband being a skeptic. How was that conversation when you told him about your abilities? Do you remember telling him, and what was his reaction when you sort of told him about what you could do?
Oh boy. Let me see. When I met him, I was already involved in this. I was already doing readings and everything. So I was already sort of public. I was doing a lot of shows and psychic fairs and all that. So when he met me, I was already doing that. So he knew what I was doing. But I don't think being a skeptic, it's sort of funny because I don't think he realized. Do you know what I mean? Just what that involves, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. That he needed to be careful. Because you see things, but yeah, it's sort of hard. It's hard to describe to people too. It's hard to explain, like what I'm getting, how I'm feeling things. But he did a lot of psychic fairs and shows, and he said the one thing that was the funniest was when we first met. I was doing quite a few, so on the weekends we would do these shows all over the place. We would go to Syracuse and went to Pennsylvania to Gettysburg and all over the place. So we would do these shows, and we would always have a lot of people that would sign up for my readings. For whatever reason, I was busy quite a bit, so we always had really pretty good luck with that. And he would always say he was always surprised at how people seemed to be just so emotionally, shook up or after a reading, or they would just be freaked out. Basically, I would freak them out quite a bit. So it's hard when you're watching somebody else, like he wouldn't hear what I was saying to them, but he said the reaction was just crazy because they were like, wow, that was nuts. And it was right on and all that. So he knew something weird was happening,
Wow.
So he was impressed with that, I guess. Because he doesn't come from this world of people. He doesn't come from psychics or paranormal or anything.
So it must have been new to him then to live in it every day with you and seeing what you're going through and the kind of things that you do, which must have been different, which is great. Yeah. So. And is he involved with a lot of the stuff that you do now then? Like, does he help out? Does he get involved with the psychic fairs that you may do and things like that?
No, not really. We, even the stuff we do here, we joke about all the time because we tell, he's one of those people that when you're doing a paranormal event, if you're doing an investigation or something, he'll kill the room. Everything quiets down when he's around. I think it's because he's like the owner of the house. I think when he's around, no one wants to communicate. They all leave. It's almost
Yeah.
like the strangers in the house, they'll come and check out who's here. So we make him go sit in another room because he like calms everything down. We always joke, we're like, go sit over there, go outside, go away for the night, like go. And as soon as he leaves, everything kicks up again. Like everything starts lighting up and we get all kinds of responses. So he's pretty funny with that, with the ghost hunting. We've done some stuff though. He made a spirit box and some other things. We've gotten some crazy responses on that. We just can't explain. He's helping me do. We are doing a big show coming up in Wisconsin, the Great Lakes Paranormal Conference. So we're going to be involved in that, and he'll be going with me to that. So that'll be fun. So he does help out with the shows, you know.
So if a paranormal team wanted to come and investigate Greystone, how would they go about finding info out?
You just go to our website, www.greystonemanor.com. So it's GRAE, Gray. So it's www.greystonemanor.com, and on there, just pull down the links boxes. There's all sorts of boxes for like psychic readings, things like that with me, but then also the paranormal options are in there too. Quite a bit. And you can always just email us, send me a text, or, send a message to, let's see, it's so greystonemanor@gmail.com is our regular email. And then our phone number is 716-481-6097. So they can text or call that too, but that's all on the website. So all those links and everything right on the website, probably the easiest way to find us.
And not only do you have paranormal investigations at Greystone, is it like a B&B that you run there as well? Is it like a B&B or like a hotel?
Yep, it's a B&B. Yep, it's a regular B&B. You actually get food in the morning. We'll feed you breakfast in the morning too. So I'll make you Pop-Tarts.
And do any of the guests experience anything? Like when they come and book with you, or when they turn up to make their stay, do you sort of let them know that it is classed as a haunted location, or do they come to you in the morning and say weird things were going on during the night? What's going on?
We do have a disclaimer, like on our Airbnb site and on our website. When you do list with us, or any place that we're listed, we'll always say it's known to have spirit activity. We just have to put that in as a disclaimer because we don't want people coming here and saying, oh, hey, what the hell? We had all this stuff happen last night. You didn't warn us that it's haunted, and I'm afraid of this stuff. So this way it's sort of in there. It's an old property. I mean, it's almost 200 years old. There's a lot of history in this area between the Erie Canal, the Native American massacre, the Indian massacre that happened here. There's burial mounds, the property. It was an Underground Railroad site. They were rum runners. They had the racetrack next door. So they bred race horses. There's quite a lot of history here. There's UFOs spotted on the property. People have seen aliens out back. There's giant skeletons that were found like 10 miles from here in burial mounds by the old Native American forts. So there's quite a bit of history just in this, where we are, just our little area. So there's quite a bit with that. But so, as far as warning people, but the people who are not into the paranormal, the people who book for like a wedding or for like the canal, they don't care. Like those people who aren't into it don't really care. Although sometimes they will get messed with. We've had those guests who are like, yeah, we don't believe in that stuff. We're not afraid of that. We don't care. They're sort of funny about it. But then in the morning they'll say like our door opened up by itself, or someone touched my feet while I was sleeping, or yelled hey in my ear. That just happened 3 weeks in a row. 3 different guests. They wake them up at 4:30 in the morning going, hey, like yelling in their ear. Like, I don't know.
So do you leave like little books in the rooms for people to write what happens to them?
Yep. So they have the little log books in the rooms. Yeah, so people can go through and sort of read through them. So we've had people, which is really funny, people will bring little offerings for the spirits, because Curtis Root, the one man who died in the house, who had the racehorses, he was crushed to death by a racehorse. He was a rum runner. He had the racehorses and all that, and he was known to smoke cigars and all that. So people will bring him cigars and like little bottles of whiskey to leave him alone. They'll be like, here, I'm going to try and sleep tonight. So here's a little bottle of whiskey. If you don't bug me while I'm sleeping, So it's pretty funny. They'll bring little offerings for him.
Okay. I'm lost. Yeah, my mind is just exploding everywhere at the moment. I've got lots going on my work phone is hitting up. I'm like trying to like ignore emergency calls at the moment. It's like go away. So you're also a minister as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
what line does that take you? Do you do weddings and stuff like that, or?
Yeah, I've done some weddings, mostly house blessings, things like that. I've gone to people's houses and cleansed them, blessed them too. So people move into a new house, new apartment, if they want their houses sort of sage blessed, sort of cleansed. I do a lot of smudging as well. Slow cleansing and as well. So even people who leave here at night, sometimes in the morning they'll want a blessing or just sort of a cleansing before they leave. And then I also use that when I do. I'm a Reiki practitioner, I'm a Reiki master, so I'll do Reiki sessions, and I do a lot of singing bowls and that energy with the Reiki healing. And I also do full cleansing with you too. So I'll do the singing bowls. I do a whole cleansing, a blessing with crystals and everything as well, with like oils and everything. So you're sort of cleansed and blessed as well.
Okay.
Do you teach people as well then, did you say?
I do. I teach classes in pendulum work. So pendulums for the divination, for healing, for spirit communication. Teach you how to use that because it trains your brain to pick up telepathic messages. I know it sounds weird, but when you start using pendulums before they spell out answers, before they're giving you an answer, you'll start to hear it. So I'm training you to pick it up. Also for location, missing items, map work with pendulums as well. So I do all that. And then I teach classes in Oracle Earth Magic cards, which are these. This is my favorite deck. They're all seasons, climates, weather patterns. They're almost like tarot, but I like it because they're all nature-based. And each card only has one meaning, where tarot, each card means like 14 different things. They're very interpretive. These I like because whatever you're asking about, whatever the future would be, if it's for relationships, work, whatever it is you're trying to focus on, there's only one answer. There's no wiggle room. So I like them. They're very direct. So those are my favorite cards, but I'll teach classes in those as well.
Should I give up my job and go and take this new job that's been offered me? There's a question for your cards.
Let's see. Let me ask. Hold on. Might I have permission to do that, to ask?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Let's see. All right. Are you sort of stuck between, you're not sure between the, okay, I'm going to ask it this way. The new job. Would the new job work out better for you than the job you're in now?
Yes.
Okay. Let me ask that. Let's see. I'm going to pull 5 cards. I put them in a cross pattern. Okay, so one card's in the middle. I'll explain as I pull them what I'm doing. So we're asking about your new job or this job that's been offered. The center card is the tone of that job. This sort of leads the whole energy of the new job. This is what it's going to be all about for you. Oh, love and compassion for this new job. So it's going to be a lot calmer. It shows that you've been struggling though, because compassion card's been drawn. So either you're not happy with this job or you are actually looking to get out because they're giving you some sort of relief because you've got love and compassion coming in. This is the higher order reaching down too. This is like the hand of God reaching down to you in compassion. So they're seeing this as a compassionate move. If you were to leave, you would actually feel better. But the card to the left is everyone in the higher order. These people who have died around you, these are also angels, spirit guides, everyone in the higher levels. This is how they feel about you if you were to leave that job and go to this new job. You pulled new beginnings. Sorry, I got some glare on you. New beginnings card. This is literally the dawn of a new beginning. New start for you. New beginning. It's a nice calm card. Does show storm clouds. Again, shows that you've been struggling.
Yeah.
This angelic light coming in shows literally new beginning, dawn of a new beginning for you, which is a really nice card. And the card to the right is everyone on Earth. So this is friends, family, people who surround you, the new job, the people you'd be working at the new job. This is the energy that's being brought in with this new job. Oh, you're pulling really happy cards because there's earthquakes and some really bad cards in here. Dreamtime creation card. This is the dreams come true card. It's creation too. This is what you're going to make what you can of this. You know what I mean? Because creation is being brought in. This is literally the dreams come true card. This is like sort of what you've been hoping for.
Okay.
You know, and the bottom card is where you're at now. Nurturing a Gaia. Again, more nurturing card coming in. More nurturing. They're trying to take care of you. Earth energy coming in. And the top card is where you're headed. Music and harmony. So they're definitely seeing that it's a different step for you.
Yeah.
Different field because harmony is being brought. Whenever harmony comes in, it's 2 different tones. You've got your tone and the higher tone. Harmony is about 2 different elements coming together to create one thing. Also shows that you're partnering with somebody. Somebody else is helping you with this. Or someone got you the job, or there's someone else that is connected to this job that you know.
Okay.
So
that's spot on. That is spot on.
Yeah, and it's a nice, happy read, a nice positive. no warnings really. You know, like I said, there's like icebergs and lightning, and there's some crazy cards in there. They're like tsunamis. Like, be careful. No,
Oh,
so they
okay.
agree. They feel it's a positive move. They do feel like you've been struggling though. Are they
Yeah.
worried about you? This is definitely a worry, a little bit of a worry issue. How old
Yeah.
are you now?
46.
Okay, so you're 46. Okay, and when would this take place?
So it could take place by the end of this week.
Okay, so you're talking immediate.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
So,
All right.
yeah, I've got a big meeting with my current employer on Wednesday, and if things don't go the right way, then I've been offered another job that's a lot more calmer. Still security, but with a bigger company that's a little bit more, chilled.
Yeah.
And how long have you been unhappy though? It's been about 3 or 4 years.
No.
Just recent.
About the last 2 months.
Oh, just recent. Okay, things just changed. All right. Yeah. They definitely feel like they're trying to pull you into a more healing energy, because you got all those funny compassion and healing cards, So I think it would be a little better for like peace of mind type situation, being brought forward for you.
Cassie said that was a really nice reading, so thank you, Cassie. One of my friends, Jet, he said since he's been watching this, his left-hand side of his face is burning.
All right. Yeah, I got sort of.
And Cassie said good luck.
So,
yeah.
Just to wrap up, really. Then, firstly, what have you got coming up that people can, go and check out? You've said about that you got something coming up. If you could just reconfirm and where everyone can find all your social media platforms, that would be great.
Sure. You can find us at www.greystonemanor.com. It's Greystone, Grae spelling. So www.greystonemanor.com is probably the best for us. The conference we're going to is the Great Lakes Paranormal Conference.com. That has links on my Facebook. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'm all over the place. So Heather Mattison, but then also under Greystone Manor. So you can find us on both. For Facebook, probably the best. We post on there all the time. Do a lot of updates on there. You can buy my books as well. I've written 3 books. So the first 2 books, they're called Letters to Olivia. If you could hear what I hear, and Past, Present, and Future Days. 2 different books, but they're all about paranormal. But they're also more about my psychic abilities, things I pick up, messages, things I've asked about, even things like ESP, things my guides have written about. They're all written by my guides. So they're about all different topics, everything from reincarnation to death to birth to UFOs to you name it. So all kinds of stuff in those books. And then the 3rd book is The Haunting of Greystone Manor. And that I did write about, I think it was published a year ago now, but there's a lot to add to it now since we've been here longer.
Wow.
But I interviewed all the families that lived here, all the experiences that they had, all their paranormal experiences, and then guests who've been in here, and then did the research on the families and their history as well, because they were all psychics and going back to the 1800s. So it's pretty fascinating, the people who lived here and all the events that have happened here, but then also people's experiences. So those books are all on our website. Or you can go to Amazon.com. You can find it on there under Heather Reese Mattison is my author name. But you'll see the links on our website as well. But that's all.
And what we will do, we'll put the links into this at the end as well. So if anyone wants to check that out, we'll put all the links to your books, the website, and everything. So definitely check it out. But it's been great to actually get the full interview done with you without any hiccups this time. It was great to find out
we made it.
more about. Yeah, we made it without any hiccups. And it'll be great to follow up with you in the future as well. See what's going on with Greystones. Any changes in that. But I just want to say thank you for coming back on and telling us about yourself and your experience. It's been great to find out about you. So thank you. I'll pass on to Rob to do the finishing off.
Yeah, thank you very much, and thank you for the card reading. I think you've now given me 99.999%. I know what I'm going to do on Wednesday, so that's fine. Yeah, it's been great having you back on. We finally finished the the interview after last time where it all went a little bit Pete Tong. Good luck with everything at Greystone. I hope
Thank
it
you.
is a success for you. And when we come to America next year, we might book a room.
Yeah, come by for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll save some ghosts for you.
Brilliant. Thank you. All right.
But no,
so
thank you so much,
very
Trevor.
everyone, for everything.
Take
Cheers.
care, and we'll speak to you
Thanks
soon.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks.
Good
Bye.
luck with your job stuff.
Cheers. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye, guys. Thanks.
Bye.
What a great show.
Yeah, it was great. It was a good show.
And we got to the end without any hiccups.
I know,
we got to the end without to the end, but it was absolutely great. You know, just to quickly touch on that video that you did about the mental health, I think was a great. You know, it's a great video that you put together because it really puts into place, you know, how serious mental health is. You know, and it's sad the statistics and you know and things like that we've learned about mental health. You know, it's a really important subject, and I'm looking forward to doing that show and hopefully getting the charities and
kind. They just need to be kind to each other, as Parpol said. Bud Files, Cassie, they all know Parpol. You know, he wants to get the hashtag "Just Be Kind" out there. You know, none of this bitchiness with each other. We're all one big paranormal community. Let's just be nice, and then you know, it's crazy.
Yeah, I think it's not even just about the paranormal. I think it's, you know, you got to look at the wider scope. It's every situation that we can be in, you know. I think the sad thing, you know, I can't speak for, you know, over in America, wherever you're watching from, but where we are, the sad thing is people are not educated enough. I did a post the other day, you know, my recent thing, I've been doing a lot of different posts. I think you've been seeing them. And one of the things is the perception that people like. If we use like men's mental health, for example, there's two key things that is a bugbear for me: is someone's struggling and they get told to man up, or you're a man and you shouldn't be crying. You know, if you're one of those people, you could actually be killing someone, you know, without realizing, you know, but those words are dangerous. You know, you need to re-educate yourselves and realize there's better ways. You know, one thing, a lot of people, they're scared of approaching someone that's suffering with their mental health. Don't be scared. A lot of the times people want to reach out, but they're scared themselves. But if, you know, you need to get out of this mental health is a bad thing. Yeah, pick up the phone.
If you haven't heard
from
someone,
And do you know what? Just to, you know, I saw something, if you don't mind me saying this, but it stuck with me. I was going through quite a few things about mental health recently, and I saw a speaker. I think I originally saw it from my younger brother, but he was wherever you are in the world. If you imagine you got a $5 note or a £5 note, and you got a new pristine one. You go in the shop and you want to buy something for $4.99. With that £5, can you use that to buy that item? You can, you know. But imagine if you got another £5 note that's older, you know, a bit scrunched up. Can you still go in the shop and buy that same item with that scrunched up £5 note? Exactly. And the reason being, it doesn't lose its value or its worth. And that's the same with us as humans. Just because you may be struggling, you may be finding life hard, it doesn't mean you lose your self-worth. It doesn't mean you lose your value to being here on this earth. You still have value. You still have self-worth. You just got to remember, sometimes you need to rely on yourself more than rely on anyone else. And that's the first step of healing. Admitting when you've got a problem is the first step forward. The most scariest part is reaching out and asking for help. But if you do step one first, step two will get easier for you to do. But always remember, no matter what you're going through, you do not lose your self-worth and you do not lose your value on this planet. You still have value here, no matter what you're going through. But yeah, that was my little thing that I saw that stuck with me.
Friends and family are important.
Yeah, friends, family. You know, I got to be honest. For me, you know, I have struggled, and I've been a lot more open to it. Not because I want people to feel sorry for me, but I want people to learn from, you know, it is a scary place, right?
Yeah.
I get it, right? But I've got to be totally honest. A lot of the people that I call family, you know, are people from Portal to the Paranormal. You know, they have seen me struggle, and they've always been there. Sean, he, you know, about a couple of months ago, he knew I was really unwell. He would message me, "You all right, mate? What's going on? You know, do you want to come around for a cup of tea?" It's those little things that people need to realize. It's those little steps that someone does that helps that person struggling. You know, knowing that there's someone on the other end of the phone, knowing that there is a place that you can go to.
Yeah.
Me and you, Rob, you know, we've connected and we've had a laugh through it, haven't we?
Yeah.
You know,
Can't get
and
rid of you
these.
now.
Oh, that's nice. But no, but what I'm trying to say is those little things. You know, if it wasn't for, you know, I'm so lucky. I'm blessed with a great family. You know, I've got Sarah, my
Yeah.
boys. But do you know what? To have like Saturday evening, we all went out for a few drinks, and we were just around the table talking about all sorts. And it's those things that help. Remember, people need help, but you could be that big person by saying, "Do you want to come around for a cup of tea?" That could save someone. You know, just knowing that there's someone on the other end of the phone.
Yeah.
To find real people that are not fake. Thank you. You know, so, but yeah, that's my thing at the moment. And, you know, for me, I just thank everyone that I have a good circle of friends. The patrol, always Portal to the Paranormal, always going to be like the big family for me, that have helped. But yeah, and we just need to continue pushing this out. Be kind with your words, and
Yeah.
realize when you're trolling someone or when you're saying something negative, it might be little to you, but to that person, it engraves in them, and it could do a lot of damage. So just be kind, whatever the situation is. Start
Just
being kind.
yeah.
Life's too short.
And that's true. It's like something that, as you say, we hear all the time as guys, like, man the fuck up, grow a pair, deal with it, you know. And it's easy for people to say that, but then when you're in that dark place and that it snaps, anything can happen, you know. And I won't go too much into it because obviously we're going to talk about it on the show, but some of Beardo's Weirdos saw my video where I was telling people to grow up and leave people alone, and I touched on my personal experiences in that. So, you know, at the end of the day, it doesn't take a lot to push someone over the edge.
No, and
And
I think the biggest problem, some people live in this perfect, they make up they live in this perfect, sorry about my language, but this perfect fucking bubble, and nothing can go wrong. And that's, you know, it's great for you, but you know, just because you've got that, not everyone has that,
no,
you know, same experience. And you know, and this is the problem. You know, if someone, for example, if someone's diagnosed with a serious illness, we're kind to them. We support them. But why can't we do the same with something like mental illness? You know,
yeah,
it's not something like people think it's something that they can. It's like a light switch. You can't just flick off your feelings like that and then, you know, and then snap out of it. It's a process. You know, it's just like any other illness. You need the help. You
yeah.
need to find your way through it as a process. So, but like I said, we're
Unfortunately,
good.
us men, we are stubborn, and it's true. And it, you know, it goes to the thing like where we're being told to man up, but then we do try and man up because we don't want to be someone that's going to the doctor and asking for tablets and stuff like that, because we have this perfect world that we think that we, you know, we are strong, but then really we know deep down we're not, and we do need help.
But I think the big problem is society and the way people see it. You know, and I think that's what makes it more of a struggle for people to go and get that help. But you know,
Yeah,
like I said, we need to change that perception of mental health in general. You know, it is a thing. It's real. You know, you can't. People, it's so easy to be disguised. You can't see the telltale signs sometimes.
no,
You know, because it's not a visible problem sometimes. But it's easy to put a face on, smile, and then. But what about behind closed doors? That's the
well,
thing. But
This
The
is
thing
it.
is, you've just got to be kind. Let's be kind, and think about what we're doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, but we'll
So-
get into that more soon.
What do you have coming up in the next week or so, where people can find your pretty handsome self?
Oh, well. So we're going to be with the patrol next week, next Tuesday. We're going to do the investigation at East Drive, which is really, really cool. We're looking forward to doing that collab with you. We've got Lex, we've got MJ. I think we've got your new team member coming up as well, Cameron.
Yeah, Cameron.
Which is going to be cool. For Portal to the Paranormal, we are doing a number of new things. So we've still got the Thriller podcast that we're going to continue. And we got a guy on Friday called Jeff Bellinger. He's done all sorts. So, from the paranormal TV shows, Climb Kilimanjaro, so we got a lot to talk about with him. But Dan has officially kicked off a new podcast, which is going to be called Portal to the Paranormal Places podcast. So what we're going to be doing is diving into really popular stories about haunted locations. So we recently did one on the documentary of, I can't remember what it's called, Paranormal, the Girl, the Ghost, and the Gravestone.
The BBC documentary.
Yeah. Yeah, which was great, and we were just talking about the different, the evidence, what could be real, what could be embellished, and things like that. So we're looking at doing that.
East Drive.
Yeah, so that's what we're going to do. We were thinking the next one will be on East Drive, because East Drive has been something that's been televised for years and years. Different shows, different movies. Yeah. So that'd be cool to do that.
So just to let everyone know, we are going to go live at 30 East Drive. We will be live on StreamYard. I'm going to leave my phone running throughout the whole evening while we're out doing our investigation at 30 East Drive, so people can just dip in and out and watch it. It will be on all our channels. So,
and I think we'll do the same as well. So we'll have one filming upstairs and one filming downstairs.
Yeah, I think that's great.
So that would be cool.
Yeah.
And then we're just looking at new locations for for new investigations. So and then if anyone wants to check us out, we're on YouTube, Portal to the Paranormal, Facebook, Twitter. It's not Twitter anymore, is it? It's X. And TikTok as well. So if anyone wants to check us out, please do. And then, as you see with me and Rob, we do the Shadow podcast on a Monday. So we have some amazing guests. We've got Michael Wong next week, and then eventually we're going to be doing a reaction show to scary videos, I believe.
Yeah.
And we might have a little special guest joining us. I don't know how long for, but he wants to be involved.
Talented Rocco.
Yeah, Rocco wants to. He heard about it and he was like, "Dad, I want to do it with you." And I'm like, I'll speak to Rob, see what he says. I don't think he would last long, but no, all exciting. But what about for the patrol then? What's going on with you guys? Because you've had a lot of change, haven't you?
Yeah. So I lost 2 team members, but then got 2 team members. So we've literally rebranded and restarted. So 30 East Drive will be the first investigation with Cameron. And then after that, we got the Festival of the Unexplained that you and Portal are going to as well. So we'll meet you guys there.
How can I forget that?
I don't know. Your wife's going to batter you when you get upstairs for forgetting.
That's all I've heard about this weekend, about outfits and everything. And I still...
But that'll be good. So me and Cameron are going to that. And then October, we got the Global Ghost Hunt. That we are both part of the administration team, so you should have plugged that as well, Nando. Terrible if Brian's watching, sack him. So we're going out together again, aren't we? With Portal and the patrol. We're going to the Ancient Ram Inn, and Mr. Beardo's Weirdo will be joining us as well. So that'd be a great night.
Be cool. That'd be cool. He'll be watching our every move. He'll be like this, watching everything. Oh, we picked up something. Oh, let me check first.
Yeah, no,
so that'd be cool.
It'll actually be really good to have someone like Beardo there, giving us his insights while we're there as well. It's like I watched him do the My Haunted Hotel, and it was fantastic.
I'm going to watch that. I've got that up on YouTube to watch because you mentioned it earlier on.
It really is good. But yeah, other than that, I think I now know where I'm going on the job front. So I will let everyone know this time next week what's happened. I was really grateful for that card reading, and it's done a lot. So for that, I'm going to say my goodbyes. Thank you for everyone that came into the room and watched.
As always.
Yeah, we will see you next week.
Bye, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll see you next Monday.
No worries. Peace out.
Bye.